A strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together. So much of things that we need to see about. Surely I do have to spell them out. Cause you know as well as I do, the only way is putting more effort and less play.
Yes, indeed. The only way is putting more effort and less play. Working diligently to build and not to undermine or to break. We want to transform Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. So we have to put our differences aside and focus on the ultimate objective, making this place better for children and children. I want to welcome you to the Dynamic Hour. And for those who, I said it earlier for the folks on the radio, but for those on Facebook and YouTube who normally look forward to the nightly program, we have been having some internet challenges in my neck of the woods. So I was unable to come on last night. All right. And I think I also told you about Sunday. So, those things do happen with technology from time to time. So we have been having some problems in my neck of the woods. But we're on this morning, and I'm thankful, I'm grateful for that. So we have to continue that mission. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off by clearing up three things. All right. There are other talk show programs in Grenada that people listen to. And what I do know in Grenada, folks listen to nearly all the talk show programs. So those who like talk show, they would listen to the Plea Due Cause program on WFM. They would listen to this program. They would listen to other programs. All right. So there is this gentleman who calls quite frequently talking about the Muslims and the noise in the south of the island. And in fact, he went as far as to accuse the Honorable Andy Williams of granting permission to the folks to do such, which is totally false. But he wants to rope in the Honorable Andy Williams. But the Honorable Andy Williams is not going to drag himself down into the mud with the individual, right? But not only that, all around the world, Muslims practice the same thing. There is religious freedom in Grenada, all right? So yes, you may say there is Noise Pollution Act and all kind of act. It does not trump religious freedom. So the Muslims, they have a right to use that PA system, that amplified system, to make that call. It's not like they are preaching on the amplified system. That's not the case. It's a call, right? So they do it at different intervals. All right. In fact, I experienced it. I was down in that on that side, and I experienced it. So it's nothing new. It is nothing extraordinary. It is normal. But this individual uses the Plea Due Cause program to call in and try to amplify the thing, try to make people believe that this thing is the first time. And no, you have thousands of people living in that area. This is the only individual who calls the WFM Plea Due Cause program every morning. Well, he has been doing that for a couple of mornings now, trying to make people believe that this thing is new. It's not new. All around the world, Muslims would use that same PA system to call the worshippers or the people who follow that fate. All right, so it's not unusual. So take that out of your thinking if you listen to that program, and you may believe that this thing is some boombox or some big DJ that they playing down there all night. No, that is not the case. I don't know if he has issues with that religion. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about that. But I just want to say to you that this thing is normal all around the world. All right? All around the world. And it's not like they are preaching on this thing constantly all night. No, it is a call. Right? I think they consider it to be a call to the Muslims to come and worship and that kind of thing, or time to pray, right? A call to pray, right? That's it. Thank you, Thompson. Kado. It's a call to pray. All right, so that's what it is. And it's a very short announcement or a short noise. Whatever you want to consider it, it's very short. But he uses that program because, the host would not, well, this morning you had Mikey on, and Mikey kind of, new to it. So he's kind of interested in that particular thing, which is not bad. But he normally comes on and over and over and over, that guy who does that. And then you had Panames, Devon Romain, who is an NNP surrogate. I don't know if he's still there, but he used to be, and maybe he still is, because, with all this fighting and problems with NNP, those, you just don't know where they stand anymore, whether he's a man of the movement with Peter, or whether he's with NNP, or whether you don't know where he stands. He used to be on the NNP program before. Then he was on Andre Donald and them. There's a whole, he's a Panames, right? He's AK Panames. So this guy called talking about the residents, the Prime Minister's residence, right? And the amount of money being paid to rent. But let me tell you this, folks. They think that the most honorable Deacon Mitchell is stupid to go in a facility or a house or a building, a colonial building, right? Run down with a whole pile of bats, and maybe they put Kribo there too. Those NNP nastiness and them. Maybe they put Kribo inside it, so they think you'll go inside it for a Kribo to squeeze him. Right? A whole pile of bats and rats and Kribo. I mean, it's a colonial old rundown building. And many of them, they have not been there, so they don't know. I know. I have been in that particular building on umpteen occasions. So I know. Even Keith did not use that building the way it's supposed to be used. Right? When Ivan passed, ask Keith Mitchell where he went and who was paying his rent or the rent for the place where he was. Right? You ask him. So all this rubbish, they think that our beloved Prime Minister going to go and live in that rat hole, in that bat infested old colonial trash. No, he's smarter than that. But maybe they have something set there and they want him to go there to tie him up. But he has sense. He's covered by the blood. All right? So he's not going to, I mean, they're foolish. He's doing the people's work. And then they move to the part where they speak about he's traveling. Well, he has a right to travel. He's traveling on government business. Stop all your damn stupidness, all your NNP. You're just sickening now. And then the same Devon Romain, and I'm giving him the 15 seconds of fame this morning, speak about the African woman. And look, our beloved Prime Minister, he used words to the effect that he unleashed the African woman or let her loose and she's wanted in Nigeria and all kind of nonsense. This guy believes that he can fool people because he used words to that effect, right? He uses the Plead Your Cause program on WeFM to talk his nonsense. And no one would correct him to say, this woman was issued a citizenship under the CBI during the NNP time. So it's the NNP that issue her citizenship. And the woman is not guilty of anything. She did not do anything wrong. No, anybody could be under investigation. And in Nigeria, because of the political tenseness and environment or culture that exists there, those things pop up every time where your enemy will go after you when they get power. That's kind of normal, right? So he would not say on that program that it was the NNP. Under the NNP, the lady got her citizenship. He would not say that. He would not say that it was the former prime minister who signed that thing for the woman to get her citizenship. He would not say that. All right? In fact, he's not interested in that. He loves to go on that program, the Political Cause program, and talk nonsense. Right? But you see, with talk show programs, there comes a level of responsibility on the part of the host or hostess. You have to correct these idiots who call these programs and take advantage of your vulnerability as the host. They can't call this program and talk this nonsense. They can't, because I am knowledgeable. I am in charge of this program. And I follow the news, I read, I look at nearly everything that's happening. Social media, I'm on top of my game. Nobody could call this program and talk nonsense or rubbish or stuff that's inaccurate. No, they can't. They would never be able to. But it's the same cadre of people calling nearly all these talk show programs. This woman in Belmont, she calls the Political Cause every time. Complaining about some piece of road, right? And the road, the reason why they can't build it, people build very close. And it's not this one property and not that one property. It's a whole pile of thing in that area. So she calls every time about doing it, and she praying. And who you praying to? Huh? Who you praying to? That's the question, because she's not genuine about the situation. Right? But they exploit these programs where the host just allow them to just say any stupidness, any rubbish. And they think that they're getting somewhere with it. They're not getting anywhere with it. They're not getting anywhere with it. No. All right? So, look, as a host of a program, and that is why any and anybody shouldn't just be a host of a talk show program. No, should not be that. There should be a certain level of competence, a certain level of qualification, a certain level of, you should be able to handle the thing. Not because somebody has a phone and there's a proliferation of FM stations all around the place that you could just pick up a phone and call because you have a radio and you call and you blah, blah, blah. Nonsense. Rubbish. The host need to be able to stop and say, hey, I remember when I used to allow people to call in this program very often. I said, stop the callers. I said, stop it. I said, hold. So what you're saying is inaccurate. What you're saying is false. I said, this is what was said. This is what, and I correct these people. So they knew from day one that they can't call this program and talk nonsense, rubbish, stupidness, misinformation and spread their, but that's what happens in this place. There are certain people with their political agenda. They call these programs and they exploit the program. They say all kind of stupidness, all kind of stuff, all kind of gossip, all kind of misinformation, all kind of hearsay. That's how they do. That's how they function. That's how they function. It is sad. Very, very sad. All right? So I thought I should clear up these things kind of early in the program so you understand what's going down. All right? Because nearly everybody who follow talk show programs, they kind of listen to all the programs in Grenada. Those are online. People get it, they access it, and that kind of thing. All right? Nice. So I want to say to you that the NDC administration is serious about agriculture. Very serious about agriculture and food security, especially now with what we see in regionally and globally. All right?
For us, agriculture is an absolute critical part. So there are a number of things we're trying to focus on. Basically creating a center of excellence in Marigot to revitalize the agriculture and agro-processing education system. Recently, for example, we opened a tissue plant laboratory where we can actually create a lot more of the plants that we need to plant in Grenada. We're focusing heavily on youth in agriculture, and we're focusing heavily on putting programs in place that will allow young people to get access to land. The Minister of Agriculture and his team have purchased a building in Lacalo, St. David, and they've already begun, I think, procuring significant agro-processing equipment. The aim here is to help a lot of the smaller agro-processors who oftentimes do the agro-processing at their home, on their countertops, and they make little things try and sell, to give them a space where they can actually come to a more commercialized factory and be able to lease or rent the space for whatever time they need, so that we can improve the quality and the environment in which they're producing the goods, and to help them with things like packaging and labeling and marketing and those kinds of things. In addition to that, we've, as I said, the CESS program was dedicated towards supporting a lot of those persons. We've created an agro-processing desk in the Ministry of Agriculture so that we can register all the agro-processors and so on. And we recognize the other things we have to help them with: the produce chemist laboratory and rural standards, right? Because with food, someone has to test it, someone has to tell you the shelf life. You have to know what's in the food. You have to know things that are working properly, etc., because you have to do those experiments. So we've invested in improving the rural standards, improving the produce chemist laboratory. We need to get them to become an integral part of supporting our agro-processors. Those kinds of things have to be improved. We probably need to get more food scientists, more persons who can do that research to help guide us, to help with the supporting the agro-processing industry. But this is critical because it goes back to the food security. A lot of the things we waste, people will die for them in other countries.
That's right.
Right, and a lot of the things we take for granted because we don't do them on a commercial scale. I'll just take something like passion fruit. We don't plant passion fruit on a commercial scale. I mean, the vine just grows and you pick some and you make some juice and end the story, right? But I'm saying it's a vine, right? So we should be growing it on a commercial scale, because the challenge with agro-processing is that if you have a factory and you don't have enough pulp or enough supplies to run the factory will fail, right? Because once you bought the equipment, you spend the money. So the only way to get your return on investment is to run that machine almost 24/7, right? And therefore you need supplies all the time. So that's where we go back to the question of planting and the harvesting and so on, and making sure that we have a lot more of that taking place. Or then the agro-processing industry will end up having to import mango pulp or import passion fruit pulp, which means we go right back to the same problem we have. So we're keen to support that. The Minister of Agriculture and his team are very keen to push that issue. So we hope as time goes on, the public will be notified more and more, and we can see more success stories of persons in the agro-processing industry.
Lovely.
Yes, so that's our beloved Prime Minister there speaking about agriculture and some of the things that are happening. And there are a number of things that happened only this week, right? Only this week and the week before. They're working very hard on the coconut industry.
The coconut industry is now equipped with a new processing plant and chill room. This is through efforts of the local agriculture group, Grenada Network of Rural Women, with support from the Sandals Foundation. More in this report from Sherry-Ann Norrell.
Grenada Network of Rural Women Producers, GrenROP, on Thursday officially opened its coconut agro-processing plant and chill room at Lassages St. David, a project that has been in the pipeline since 2017. President of GrenROP, Teresa Marichaux, says the facility, while it took some time to complete, was made possible through a US $78,000 donation from the Sandals Foundation with support from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Chinese Agricultural Mission, the World Bank's AGROM project, and the International Trade Center.
The farmers' chill room and coconut processing facilities, where we would make coconut products, for example, coconut flakes, coconut flour, virgin coconut oil, and as we move on, we'll be able to make some products for the cosmetic industry. And we will increase on our regular coconut that we are accustomed doing making coconut oil, which we know that have a high demand. With this chill room, GrenROP will now be able to purchase much more produce from its members and also non-members to meet its market's demand. For example, the hotels, restaurant, supermarket, and anyone who wish to call upon us to supply them.
The Ministry of Agriculture did play a key role in terms of making sure that we receive the funds that was allocated, making sure that we provided additional counterpart funds, making sure that we provide other forms of support to make sure that this activity happen, and of course providing other technical and other inputs to make sure that the overall GrenROP cooperative is fully functional. So we're happy, and I want to say that we're committed to that process. This year, we have allocated $500,000 towards the agro-processing unit. Sometime 2 years ago, the agro-processing desk would have been established. I know Minister and team would have met with a number of agro-processors, and this year, as part of our work plan, we are going to provide and make sure that the agro-processing desk is fully functional, that it becomes a one-stop shop, and that we give them the kind of support, because it is a challenge. We know that most of our producers are small scale, and it's a challenge to find bottles, to find labeling, to do shipping, economies of scales, etc. And so we intend to make sure that that desk could be able to provide the support together with the Produce Chemist Lab and, of course, the Bureau of Standards.
Executive Director of Sandals Foundation, Heidi Clark, highlighted the importance of the partnership and Sandals Foundation's role in the renovation of the building that hosts the processing facility and chill room, the water catchment system to support the operations, as well as the purchasing, shipping, and installation of all machinery for the production of the facility.
And today, we celebrate the accomplishment of a group of very industrious women who have been unshakable in their determination to establish their financial independence and affirm their space in an industry largely perceived to be dominated by men. Here in the Caribbean, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations states that women account for 22 to 30% of the registered farmers. However, they experience lower opportunities due to limited access to finances, land, networks, information, and decision-making in organizations like farming. The Grenrop Group sought to change this narrative, creating a space for women of all backgrounds and experiences to be empowered through knowledge, access to technical expertise, and the right technology to make informed decisions about their livelihoods and their lives. Ms. Marichaux, the legacy of what you've created here will live on forever. For us, it has always been about how are we using the linkages of tourism to strengthen the capacity of local economies and local entities. From farmers to artisans to our fisher folk, it is about how we are investing within these spaces and growing them so they're not only going to be producing for our own islands, but looking at them on the global market. Today's opening of this coconut processing plant and chill room is a culmination of 1,000 steps, a lot of patience, and what happens from here is the start of a chapter of a new journey. A chapter that will be characterized by limitless growth and reach.
President of the Caribbean Network of Rural Women Producers, Carmen Posu, commended the Grenrop team for the foresight for such an important initiative of the processing plant and chill room, which will assist in eliminating to a certain extent wastage of products when there is a glut on the market.
Grenrop happens to be one of the 10 Caribbean network of rural women producers in the Caribbean, for which I'm the president. But I stand here today not just as a mere president, but to express the relationship. We heard about partnership, we call it relationship. So it's not a boat, it's a ship. We are speaking about a ship which is bigger than a boat and is safer. So the relationship that I have with the president and the chapter. The president don't accept no for anything that is possible. This became possible because she said yes. You heard the many trials and tribulation. But this is an example of one man's, one person's junk becoming another person's treasure. This is transformation. And it took the women of the Grenada Network of Rural Women Producers to initiate this process. What is established here is not just for today. We are speaking about prosperity beyond what our lifetime, beyond the 33 years that is present now in which they are renting the building, but we know that the next generation will get it even at a better price. They are different. We know that the $500,000 that's available for agro-processing, I know Ms. Teresa Marichaux need to pull out something from the drawer already there, and I know that she will take it out. But this would not have happened without partnership with the private-public partnership. One hand cannot clap. One hand did not make this possible. But it was through relationship with the private and the public, government, Sanders, and Grenrup. So when you need to make things happen, you need partnership, working together to make possibilities.
Grenada Network of Rural Women Producers was established back in 2000 to create the enabling environment for female farmers to gain financial independence through agriculture. The group is now home to 75 farmers ages 40 to 75. For GIS News, I am Sherry Ann Noel.
Yes, that's a very good news item there. Agriculture is on the up. And you see, coconut, that industry is a very, very powerful one. I remember years ago, Roland Bowler, I think he was the Minister of Agriculture, talking about coconut and making sure that we have coconut farms and that kind of thing. But it took the NDC to come into office and invest in training, invest in plants. I think they're bringing in 12,000 coconut plants. Quite a number of things, you know. I think it's 12,000 plants, I think.
Several local farmers have given the nod to the introduction of over 10,000 germplasm material that is expected to arrive in Grenada in the next few months. The importation of the varieties are among activities of the World Bank-funded Food Security Enhancement Program. The undertaking within the coconut industry seeks to promote improved qualities of the crops, increased quantities, and strengthen the livelihoods of those who depend on the coconut industry. Farmer Devon Fullerton is hopeful that this initiative will help to boost the coconut industry.
When I was younger, my mother, we used to drop coconut in Tempe, where they had a factory down there, and we used to make soap. So we had coconut in a bundle. So if that initiative really go through, and we could get back coconut to be like a main sector in the agriculture sector, that would be very good for us. That would be very good, because right now you have the coconut water, and also even the jelly. You could make a punch with the jelly that comes from the coconut and sell it also. And then you could use the coconut to make oil and make all other things. So that is good.
Another supporter of the venture is Winston Otley.
I believe that the varieties that have been brought in, some of them will be resistant to some of the diseases that we have, and I think it is a good initiative to bring in better varieties, more improved, and so we kind of guarantee that we would have a better production and safe from some pest and disease that could knock us out. Those for oil, those for oil. And I think with those two, we can have a lot of, the oil in particular. There are several industries that can come out of that variety, what we refer to as the tall, the Pacific tall. I think there's many industries that can come out of that, not just one thing. So I think it is going to be good for food, good for employment, and in terms of health.
Both Fullerton and Otley were recently trained on the management, identification, and control of pest and disease in coconut production to improve the commercialization and industrialization of the industry.
Yeah, and that's very good. And to those who might be wondering, plenty rain is falling on the outside. All right, on my rooftop, plenty rain. We're in the dry season, but boy, oh boy, plenty rain since last night, or since yesterday. Some will say since yesterday. In some parts, we have been getting rain consistently. So that's the background noise. But you see how everything just tying in, meshing, coming together. The importation of all these plants, coconut plants, right? Or how they call it, nutlets or whatever they call it. To have more of those coconut trees and that kind of thing here, so we have more coconuts over time. The training of farmers to handle the pests. These things are falling into place. They're falling into place, and I'm loving it.
And do you all know what those
I'm loving it. Right? Training, the opportunities.
My name is Anne DeRoche. I work at the FAO Subregional Office in Barbados. I'm a plant production and protection specialist. We have the pleasure of hosting this training on cocoa post-harvest and quality management in Grenada this week. This has been a really long building up to this point. We've had several trainings up to now. We have a technical cooperation project that we have been implementing in the sub-region, so in Grenada, Dominica, and other countries.
Yes, we're training cocoa, training nutmeg, training in so many other areas, right? That is what you need to do, training the farmers, making sure that they understand what is at stake. And this is what is important. Pest management and so on.
Coconut weevil and red ring diseases remain a major threat to the coconut industry in Grenada. As part of a countrywide drive to educate farmers to deal with this pest and disease, the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands is recommending good agricultural practices in pest and disease management. These include the use of coconut weevil traps and proper field sanitation practices. A farmers' field school was held in Mount Alexander, St. Patrick on Wednesday, attended by farmers in the area, including those from the Darve community. Agronomist Troy Augustine, who currently serves as Senior Pest Management Officer, led the field session, sharing his expertise with them.
Our technique that we're using now is use of biopesticide, Beauveria bassiana. Those who was in the training, we explained to you the Beauveria bassiana is a fungus that you find naturally from the soil. It was extracted, isolated, and multiplied. It's sold in packages at Remington Thompson. So if you're an organic farmer, you can use it, right? With approval from your certifying body. It gets between the wings and all of the other parts of the insect, and it starts growing like fungus on bread, moss on bread. As it grows, it goes inside of the beetle, feeds there, and paralyzes it. It dies. It's a product that has been tried as it is used in Cuba, in sweet potato, in other pests, in sweet potato pests and other crops. Even the worms and stuff like corn, it works in other crops, right? So the idea, our initiative is to start to catch the beetles, inoculate them, release them. When you release them, they fly and look to mate with the others or try to go to a tree. They bring the spores of the Beauveria on their bodies to that area. It spreads, they get in contact with other beetles, and as they get in contact with other beetles, it spreads and passes on from one to another. It is a matter of control that is done on a large scale in Brazil.
This undertaking is one of the activities geared towards educating farmers and helping them prepare for a shipment of coconut plantlets as part of the World Bank's Food Security Enhancement Program.
12,000 coconuts, seed nuts from Mexico. CARDI and GCNA is bringing in 1,800, which makes us about 3,000 plus seed nuts that will be distributed among farmers. Some will be kept back into a germplasm, so more seed nuts can be generated from that. The seed nuts that are being imported.
Right, so that's about 3,000 coconut plants or, excuse me, seed nuts, right? Coconut plants, 3,000. So I was actually saying 12. But what he's saying is that government is bringing in 12,000 and CARDI and GCNA is bringing in 8,000. So that's about 3,000 plus or so. It's 3,000, a little above that, as he's explaining there, for Grenada to revitalize the coconut industry. Because you see, you have chill room and agro-processing plant for the coconut to produce stuff out of it, but you have training taking place for, you know, the pest and so on that would affect coconuts. You have coconut seedlets and, you know, the plants being imported and training offered to, it's just meshing. Things are happening, but the NNP will still tell you nothing is happening.
You can use them for culinary purpose. You can cook with them. The water will be there for you to use. But most of all, you can use the same seed nut to get new plants, to either sell or to expand your field. So whilst the Ministry of Agriculture is sensitizing you, the farmers, on the pest problem, because it's critical at this point to start controlling the pests, see where the pest is of in high population, bring it down to a very lower population so that all the farmers can benefit who really wants coconut.
It was the third Farmer Field School organized by the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, Forestry, Marine Resources and Cooperatives in collaboration with the team from the Northern Agricultural District.
I know coconut was a major crop in this area here, and we're looking to actually bring back the crop as one of the main producing crop among the farming community. Coconut, as a point, coconut is one of the only crop that you can plant and have it for 30 years as a dwarf that gives you an income every month, or as an oil nut for 60 years, giving you an income for that 60 years, which means that it passes nutmeg, it passes cocoa, it passes banana, root crops. It is the only crop that you can rely on. If there's a major flood, that would not have a problem.
12,000 high-yielding and disease-resistant coconut plantlets will be imported from Mexico to resuscitate coconut production within communities.
Right, so that's already, I think that's already here. So quite a bit is happening in that industry, in that area. That's a good thing for the farmers, a really good thing for the farmers. But the NNP will still tell you that nothing is happening. They would concoct stories, they would make you believe all kind of stuff. We know about the tissue culture lab, right? So we know about that. And I think a farmer was also interviewed as someone who knows about it.
We used to have this, our tissue culture lab producing plants in those days, in the early days, and farmers was glad to have it. Now it's a problem because, I mean, I've been a little bit of plantings and farmers are coming to me for plants, but I wish I was able to supply a lot, but I don't have much of that to supply now. I think it's a very good initiative for the government or whoever is contributing to that to help us to have a tissue culture lab. And not just having a tissue culture lab, but to have plants regularly so people could continue with the flow of the plants. And the demand for planting is very great now. It's very, very great, but the plants itself is not available as we would like to have it. Well, generally speaking, I think that farmers are getting a little more interested in farming. I can see that a lot of people is talking about it, but we still have some nuts and corns to move out of the way. And lots of young men want to farm, but the material is a little hard to fetch. And if incentive has been given, I think we will have a lot more young farmers and production will be.
Yes, I fully agree with Felix there. And it's good, very good that some people saying you're not getting the audio and that kind of thing. I hope the folks on the radio heard what he had to say. It's a recording done by the Ministry of Agriculture. All right, I hope you heard what he had to say there. All right, the Ministry of Youth, they too, they're on the ball. Elevate Her, that program, they did some more work there. So I think this is the second phase of that.
After a robust registration process, the second phase of Elevate Her project has commenced with orientation of selected participants. Elevate Her is a new initiative of the Division of Youth designed to support unemployed and underemployed young women who seek training for sustainable employment opportunities. More from Karine Mooring Alexander.
The orientation of participants of the Elevate Her program began on Wednesday. The initiative, spearheaded by the Division of Youth, focuses on equipping young women with skills in 3 key areas: hospitality, health, and agriculture. During the orientation, the participants underwent preliminary assessments and interviews conducted by service providers in their respective fields of interest, supported by the Grenada National Training Agency, GNTA. Coordinator of Youth Colin Perryman expressed her optimism about the program's impact and the success of its participants. She emphasized that orientation plays a crucial role in preparing them for the training ahead.
We want this program to be successful. We do not want it to be another training cycle. We want to ensure that there is proper alignment between what it is that the participant want to do, what it is that they want to see for themselves in terms of their economic development and their economic sustainability. So we don't want to just tell them these are the areas and we're just putting persons here, there, etc. without their involvement. So what we're doing here today is meeting with our stakeholders, our service providers, and meeting with the selected participants to have a pre-interview with them as to the specific areas that they are interested in, and to make sure that there is proper alignment between what it is that they're going to be trained in and their interest and their skill set that they're going to be coming into the program with.
The youth coordinator congratulates the successful applicants of the Elevate Her project and encouraged them to be confident in their pursuit to become better versions of themselves.
I want to say congratulations to all the young ladies who were selected to be part of the program. I want to encourage them to try their best, to put out their best, put their best foot forward. I want to encourage them to show up, show out, and show off at the end of the program, show off their best ability, best of what it is that they're learning, the best version of themselves. So when it comes time to placement, when it comes time to permanent engagement, that there is no reason as to why they cannot be a best fit. There is no reason as to why they can't contribute further to the development of the organization in which they will be applying for permanent engagement in.
The participants are grateful for this life-changing opportunity.
I feel very lucky, but I know my strengths and my weakness, so I knew that I would have succeeded in getting the opportunity to do that. And also I feel blessed because prayers work miracles. Of course, yes.
You prayed for this?
Yes. I feel great, actually, to know that I stand a chance of creating a future for myself. It feels great to be selected because it's a great program and it's here to help the youths of all the communities. So yes, it's a great program.
The official launch of the Elevator project follows after the orientation process to be held on April 15th, 2025 in St. Andrew. I am Carrie.
Yeah, and still the NNP will tell you that nothing is happening for young people. All right? But the evidence is there. Elevate Her, giving them opportunities so that they can become something and earn something. A lot of those young people throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, they are part of that. I really love it that they are not just putting them or placing them in some area, but instead something that they're passionate about, something that they like, and how they can help them to make it a reality so that they can earn a livelihood. That's a really, really good program for the young women of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Elevator. 2 ambulances were handed over to the Ministry of Health.
On Wednesday, 2nd April 2025, the Ministry of Health officially commissioned 2 fully loaded 4x4 ambulances designed to improve our medical emergency response service. Valued at nearly $1 million EC, the state-of-the-art emergency vehicles were placed at the General and Princess Alice hospitals, respectively, following a short ceremony held in St. George's. In addressing the gathering, Health Minister Honorable Philip Telesford described the ambulances as vital investments and shared responsibility.
So these ambulances represent far more than just additional resources. They are life-saving investments that will empower us to respond swiftly to emergencies and elevate the delivery of ambulance services across the state of Grenada.
The Grenadian Health Minister told those in attendance that the addition of the vehicles to the fleet demonstrates the government's commitment to health.
So these ambulances, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, reflect our unwavering commitment to ensuring that no one is left without access to critical care when it is needed most. We believe that regardless of where you live, we should be able to reach you to provide health care within your communities. We also anticipate significant improvements in the delivery of this specific health service, faster response time, and a more efficient healthcare system ready to meet the needs of our people with urgency and excellence.
However, while the Ministry of Health and by extension the government celebrates such an achievement, Minister Telesford urges users to care for them diligently, treating them as their own vehicles.
The investment in these two emergency response vehicles borders on $1 million. 2 vehicles, $1 million. And they are not just 2 vehicles. They are state-of-the-art, fully conditioned, fully equipped. So with these vital investments comes our shared responsibilities. So as Minister for Health, I urge those entrusted with these ambulances to care for them diligently. Care for them as if they are your own babies. You know how you treat your private vehicles? Your little baby? Treat them as your babies. Drive them carefully. Clean them regularly. And ensure that they are well managed. Well managed.
Meanwhile, Caroline Jones, the project coordinator of the OECS Regional Health Project, was the ministry's point person who led the initiative to obtain the ambulances.
This marks a significant investment in strengthening Grenada's emergency response capacity.
Jones told those in attendance at the ceremony that the ambulances, which is an investment of over 900,000 EC dollars, aims to enhance emergency response.
By enhancing the health system resilience and emergency responsiveness, the project ensures that the sector is better equipped to handle crisis effectively. Today's contribution falls under the emergency management component, a key step towards improving disaster preparedness and healthcare delivery. With an investment of over 900,000 EC dollars, these ambulances will ensure faster emergency response times. In addition, the handheld radios would enhance real-time communication, ensuring better coordination among emergency teams, healthcare facilities, and first responders. Together, they will improve patient outcomes and bolster disaster response capabilities.
Yeah, but the NNP will still tell you nothing is happening in health. All right? Thank God for technology. Thank God for social media, you know. We can share the facts and the information so that you, the viewers, you, the listeners, you'll have the evidence, you'll have the facts to deal with the NNP lies and misinformation. Folks, I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.